Okay, good evening, everyone. This is the Solution Podcast, and tonight we're going to discuss men and the roles they play in relationships. Tonight we're going to do something a little different. Ruby Red is going to be, I guess, moderating this particular episode. So tonight we're going to have Cam, Sim, myself, Ruby Red, and Mr. X. All right. So, Ruby.
Okay, so I guess we can start by, just jumping in and saying what you all think the role a man is supposed to play in the relationship. And also, if you could be specific as to saying if you generalize this or if you just more so speaking specifically to your role in your relationship. So whoever wants to start us out, if you could just kind of say your name too, so kind of people can understand, okay, this is, Mr. X perspective versus Sim's perspective, and we can see if there's some commonalities amongst you all. So, yeah, I guess starting with that is a good place.
All right. Anybody want to start? If not, I'll start. It don't matter.
No, go ahead.
Okay. This is Simeon. In regards to a role that a man or a husband plays, it can be general because depending on what the woman brings to the table, then I think the man should provide what the first one. He should be the lead of a household or relationship. I think second of all, a man needs to understand what the woman or the relationship is lacking and try to provide that. And I'm not just saying financially. I mean, it could be emotionally, it could be guidance, it could be educational wise. But I think a lot of the guidance is going to come when the woman is actually, and I hate to use that word submissive, but be willing to follow. So again, it's not just a man having a role. It's the man having a role in coordinates with the woman. He has to understand what she needs, and she has to be able to understand that what he's doing and what he's saying is best for the relationship or the family. And I'm speaking in terms of family because like if you just dating somebody, that's different. I haven't dated in a while, so I don't know, if I could be, of any assistance there. But in regards to a family, I think the man is definitely the head of the household. I don't want the only provider because in this day and age, a lot of women are making more money than the man. But I do feel like the man should be the head or lead of the relationship or household, if that's helpful.
It is helpful, but one thing I wanted you to elaborate on is why are you reluctant to use the word submissive? You think you think society?
I think because people get offended by it. I don't have a problem using it, but for the sake of, a lot of people get turned off by certain words you use. So I just want to be clear. I'm not trying to be chauvinistic or something like that. So,
can I insert another word? Can I
Sure.
insert another word? How about we just say agreeable? Can we say agreeable?
I don't know. What does that mean to be agreeable? Because
agreeable means agreeable means like he's willing to let the leader lead, as opposed to saying I don't want it. I don't want to find out. I ain't with that. That whole spiel that women like to. I think an agreeable woman is a woman that says, this is the man I chose. This is the man that I believe that's going to lead me to success, me and my family to success. Maybe that might be it.
I'm sorry. Just speaking on what Cam just said. That's cool, Cam. But first, they got to understand that they got to recognize that the man is the head. Then, of course, we can be agreeable after we agree that the man is running the show.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if we can't agree on that, then that agreeable is going to be. Then it's going to be a lot of 50-50 sometimes. And again, women a lot of times make decisions based off emotion. They do.
Mm-hmm.
Men seem to, be realistic and more, logical in regards to making decisions. That's just my experience. Women are emotional when it comes to making important decisions sometimes too, critical decisions. So, and I'm not faulting a woman. I mean, men a lot of times make bad, stupid decisions as well. But I mean, if I got a bet on one, I would put my money on the male making the better decision as opposed to the female in regards to the family or the relationship.
Yeah, I have to agree with that. Okay, is it a case?
Thoughts on the role? That was really, I think that was good. Any more feedback?
Well, I just wanted to say too that I don't necessarily agree that a man has to specifically be the leader. If a woman can lead, then yeah, she should lead. Like, just because you were born with a penis doesn't make you a leader. So, but I think you need to figure that out before you get into a relationship. Who's the real alpha? And I'm definitely not one for a 50-50 camp. There's only one chief in the TP. But I'm not necessarily I'm not saying it has to be the man all the time. A woman, I think, has shown in the past that she's capable of leading, but it takes a special type of woman to do that.
Al, I think your phone might be breaking up a little bit.
Oh, word. Y'all ain't getting none of that?
Hello.
Yeah. I
heard.
Oh,
I just hear a lot of static. I don't know if that might be my phone or not.
yeah, that might be it. That might be your jack.
Okay.
Yeah, so Albert, you kind of mentioned, so I guess in your case, how would that kind of relationship decide who is going to lead? I mean, because like you said, so if we just say the man is the lead, and we're saying from a biological standpoint, any man, but Albert presented a good point. All men, quote unquote, aren't fit to lead. So if you're not fit to lead, it means he shouldn't be in a relationship. So specific to your perspective, Al, how would you say that a couple like that should choose who's going to lead?
That comes down to their own personal way of working things out. Like, I think a lot of times that happens naturally. If you got a real passive dude and a real domineering woman, usually they find each other organically. You know what I'm saying? Somebody's always putting their foot down and somebody always letting up. They usually find each other and they can work it out. It's only when you have two alphas where trouble arises. And I say, if a man is an alpha male and he seems like, and a woman does her own logic, like, okay, he seems to know what he's doing, I'm gonna let him lead until he mess up. Okay, if she was on that type of time, then I think everything would work out. But I think for the most part, a woman that's an alpha should try to find a man that's a beta. That way it won't be too many conflicts in the household.
Can we define alpha male and alpha female? Like some of the characteristics. I know it probably will vary slightly, but can y'all define maybe what are those characteristics?
I just think a alpha male is, that's a dude that's going to let his will be known, and he's not backing down, and he's very straightforward, direct, and he's not really willing. Like, if he's passionate, right, he's not going to compromise. It's really his way or the highway. You know what I'm saying? So he's like a born leader, I guess. And I understand there's women who are born that way also. I don't think the two make a good couple. There's always going to be some type of turmoil.
Just to chime in, I don't know, man. I've never met a happy couple where the female was an alpha. And I'm going back to I'm thinking back to when my uncles and great uncles and aunts and things like that. I remember those relationships where you had the woman kind of being outspoken, appeared to be the louder one, the boisterous one, or just the lead. whatever you want to call it. A lot of times the male in that situation, and I'm just speaking from my perspective, the male was probably a guy who was not really into the family, so to speak. He was there physically, but mentally he was probably somewhere else. He probably came home, gave his wife his check, drunk the night away, things like that. Or sometimes that man was actually being promiscuous.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's like, go ahead, baby, you do your thing, because he wasn't involved. And when you're
your phone might be breaking up a little.
That man was actually
my bad.
I'm sorry, say again?
No, go ahead. It was a
I hear the person clearly.
Go ahead, son, keep talking. I can hear you.
No, I'm just saying, when I've seen those type of relationships, it wasn't a healthy relationship in my opinion. It was not something that I wanted. If I see a woman taking a lead over a man, I feel like maybe the man is just a little bit lazy in my opinion. I think I've never seen it. I'm just saying I've never seen it before. I've never seen it work.
Let me clarify that.
I can't agree with a man taking a back seat.
All right. Well, I'm talking about as far as like on the Cosby Show.
Hold on.
And
Hold on, Al.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna piggyback off what some said. Like, I've always, from my experience, personal experience, it's always appeared to me that women are more respectful if the man takes the lead, takes the initiative, and owns it, and knows that they're what I'm convinced is godly inheritance, godly position in the family, in the household, and I think from then on, then that's when the respect comes into play. Again, I agree with some. Like I think after a while, the level of respect might not be there if the man doesn't present that leadership, those leadership qualities, and that that head of the household status. Al, going back to something you said, I think two alpha people can get along, but again, for me, it boils down to it's got to be a level of respect there. I mean, in any relationship, if there's no respect, then the relationship is doomed. So, if the woman doesn't mind, deferring to the man in certain situations, I think they can be, they could be good. They be, I actually think it is some alpha couples out here that we probably know of is out here doing it big. We just, don't really know how everything works inside the home. You know what I mean? So.
Who was that was just speaking?
That was Mr. X.
I apologize, Miss Ruby. I should introduce myself.
That was Mr. X?
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
And that was great perspective. Now, the reason I'm asking is because I kind of want to identify the perspective of men based on relationship status. So, because I think that we're going to see some differences, and that can possibly give insight to some of the listeners if they maybe want. So, Mr. X, how do you identify? You're in a relationship, correct?
I'm married.
Okay, you're married, and Sim mentioned that he hasn't dated for a while. So, Sim, you identify the relationship as well, correct?
Yes, I'm married as well.
Okay, so I definitely, as a woman on the podcast, can say, and I guess I don't know if I think my salary alone, my career is going to identify me as an alpha female, but really, I don't. Since I lead in that career, you're absolutely right in the sense that I want to come home to a man that I can submit to. That's why I asked him, your comfort with using that word. I know stereotypically it's quote unquote something negative, but marriage is something spiritual, and so I am an alpha female that doesn't mind submitting. Matter of fact, I prefer it, and I'm looking forward to when I have that opportunity. But
why do you think that your salary would equate to you being an alpha female? When alpha is a personality, it's a personality.
Yeah, absolutely. You're right. So the reason I say that is because stereotypically, if we look at tradition and history, one of the reasons that men were like the leaders and they were presumed to be alpha to me is because of their financial provision for the household.
I think Well, wait a second.
We're not arguing. You asked my perspective.
No. We're not arguing because historically, capitalism is a system that's probably about 500 years old, maybe a little less. And society, as we know it, is, I don't know, hundreds of thousands of years old. So the society based on capitalism is basically what you're basing the alpha personality on. And I think the man leads. I think one of the other brothers said it. I think it was Simeon who said it. It's logic is what leads the family structure. That's what makes the head. It's the fact that the male is more logical than the female, who is the emotional side of the coin. So I don't think that money, which is a system that is not even 1,000 years old, the economic system as we know it is not 1,000 years old.
But what does money bring? It brings power, correct? Money, power, respect. So if you allow me to elaborate a little more on my theory, if you allow me to elaborate a little more on my theory, I probably we would have said the same thing. Essentially, I think that's what we found, is that we say the same things, we just get there different ways. So I would say my salary brings a certain authority to the relationship. It does, because we can't.
I disagree.
It's relative. And you can disagree. You asked my perspective about why
Ruby,
I feel.
can I ask a question real quick, Ruby? I just want to ask one question. Let's just say your salary is what.
No, I'd rather it not be about me.
I know. I'm not trying to
get back to the male panel, and maybe at the end we could do the back and forth with my role. But for us to get back on track, because people don't want to hear me. They want to hear the males. If we could get back,
that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Fair enough.
Of alpha female versus alpha male. If you all want to give additional perspectives about those characteristics, I think that'll keep us flowing. But I don't mind elaborating a little more later. I just want to make sure that you all are heard, because
right.
I do have an opinion that I can take forever, but I don't want to do that right now. I want to take this time to honor you all as the males on the panel, to moderate, additional feedback. So if we could get back to what do you all view as those characteristics, I think that'll lead us into another discussion. Whoever wants to take that.
You could just
like I was saying. Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
Oh no, I was just saying you could just if you have another question, I guess you could go with another question.
Okay, so no more feedback on like the alpha male characteristics, alpha female characteristics.
Well, yeah. Let me just add this one point about some saying that he doesn't know any men in a beta role that's happy. Yeah, I would have to concur with him on that tip. But I'm saying a lot of times, the old people used to call them henpecked. There's a lot of henpecked men because they just given up the fight because it's a constant battle. So again, somebody in a relationship is going to have to, if it's two alphas, eventually somebody's going to have to back down. Somebody's going to get whipped. Okay. So, and I was really referring to a Heathcliff Huxtable type character and his role with his wife. Ultimately, I thought his wife, Clara Huxtable, ran the house, and he was more of a beta. She was an alpha. So, but again, that's television. That's fantasy. In real life, no, I don't know.
Uh-huh.
I don't know a situation that runs as smooth as their situation.
No more feedback on that?
Nah.
Okay. So my next question would be, do you all as men, the ones that are dating and, you all that are married, you could think back to when you were dating, do you find that it's common that the women that you're attracted to and that you've dated have a difficult time submitting, or is that something that's come rather easy to you in your dating experiences?
Let me handle this. When I used to date, one thing I always share with women was I grew up around men. I was raised by men. My walk, my talk, my whole mannerism, my whole being is manly. That's all I know. And I always let women know, like, that's what you're going to get when you're going to get with me. You know, we gonna disagree on certain things, but please believe it. You know, I was born to be a man. I was born to be a leader. You know, so for me, I mean, once I let them know that, I mean, you know, it was pretty much a wait and see. You know, I guess to see if I was who I said I was, and you know, I think for the most part I was. You know, what I learned in dating a lot was, again, it comes back to respect for me, because I believe we all human beings, we have the same wants, needs. People want to be respected. People want to be loved. People, you know, want to love back. You know, want to be treated nice. So I always believe that's what women wanted too, regardless if that's what, you know, I might not have known or might have felt something different on the exterior. So at the end of the day, it was just basically about, you know, just me being me. And you know, I know everyone's not gonna vibe with you or like fall in love with you, or you know, the relationship might not become nothing. But I was always confident in who I was, you know, and for the most part, I think I had a lot of real good relationships and very, very great relationships with women, even to this day. You know, so for me, again, it was, I mean, yeah, you know, you had some things happen there and there, but overall, it was a real good experience. And I think it was mostly because initially I let them know who I was and what I was about, and I showed them this is who I am and this is what it is, and that was that. And pretty much ain't had no problems after that. You know.
Yeah, most women, I know that's how it goes as well. Any other thoughts on your experiences with women and them being submissive?
Well,
I think that women being submissive is kind of like just meeting women in general. For myself, it's kind of like my mom used to always say, birds of a feather flock together, water seeks its own level. You know, those type of sayings, like attracts like. So whatever you see that you might like, and would you, especially at this age, as opposed to being, I mean, because you might have to narrow this down you mean dating as a 30, 40-year-old person, or you mean dating as like an early 20s when you're just trying to get your nut off. You put up with a lot more when you are a younger man than you will when you're, I don't know, reaching 40, 50 years old. You put up with a lot less. I would even say you put up with a lot less in your 30s. And you kind of know what you like. You kind of know what you don't like. You could see what you don't like a mile away at my age. And it's kind of like, all right, well, this woman is a loudmouth, or this woman is not the type of woman that I want in my circle, in my cipher, in my reality. A lot of people get caught up at a younger age with women, and I guess it was a lot more prevalent in the past, because you know the society now is kind of like, you know, it's very over sexualized. But I don't think many men at our age, you know, like late 30s, early 40s, are running into women that we have to ask ourselves, is this woman going to be submissive? Because you already know what you like. That's kind of like something that you deal with when you first get in a car, when you first starting to have sex with a lot of women. At this age, it's kind of like, okay, shorty said this, I'm not fucking with her. Or shorty said that and she did this, I like that. You know, it's not a situation where I'm not speaking for anybody but myself, where I can look at a woman and be like, oh, well, yeah, she's not going to be submissive. She's already displaying things in my mind that I've already dealt with, that I'm not going to deal with continuing down this road.
Yeah, I
so to make a long story short, like attracts like.
Yeah. And for me, all right, for me, growing up, I always was attracted to, I guess, alpha females. Like, when I was at me and Ken went to the same middle school. So it was this girl, Shanice Williams. The reason why she was bad for her age back then, but the reason why I liked her so much because in her circle, she was the chief. You know what I'm saying? I always liked, she wasn't a follower. She was a leader. I liked that about her. And in high school was another chick similar, right? So I found myself, as I was growing up, more attracted to them women and then getting with those types of women. But I didn't know how those women viewed me. So I figured, you know, if you just make them happy, they would be happy. But that ignited something in them where they do lose respect. Women do lose respect if you too passive, if you too meek. And so I found that and I never try to make a woman submit. I was more the one that was submitting, you understand? Because I was after the alpha female. So I didn't know until I was like late in my 30s that was all wrong. You know what I'm saying? So I would equate that to being why I was so unsuccessful in my relationships. Like, because I was like the passive one. And I didn't find out till later on that that's not what's up. And I do have leadership qualities, but I never really put that on a woman I was dating. You understand? So yeah, I never really tried to make a woman submit.
Okay, I think somebody was going to say something.
Yeah, this is Sim again. Now me dating, I'm going back to my 20s now. You know, I'll be 40 next month, so I'm going back to my 20s. I feel like the society has allowed women, and society has allowed women to be more aggressive, more assertive. When I was dating, let's say in the 90s, women didn't have these. Women are like followers, so they didn't have the characters on TV or entertainment characters that just say, you know what, I can do it on my own. Fuck a man. You know, they more so were the submissive person. It wasn't until 2000s and beyond, the Oprah Winfrey Show, things like that, where women were seen as, you know what, I'm the head of the household and I don't need a man. I think it's been programmed in us psychologically, and we don't even know that's the issue. You know, so now you got women in 2017. They like, fuck a man. What I need a man for? Like that wasn't the in the 90s. I'm sorry, that was not the narrative. But then Lil' Kim comes out, Foxy Brown come up. We got rappers. We got women that are, you know, aggressive and assertive and say how they feel and, you know, speak their mind. Not saying there's anything wrong with that, but I think women, the people that were looking up to these women, took that and ran with it and basically said, you know what, you're right, I don't need a man. Niggas ain't shit, you know. So they started coming up with these narratives, and it became passed on to their children. Now you got to figure, women in the 90s may have kids that are 20 now, 30, whatever. So that has been passed on. That mindset has been passed on, and we think that being submissive means, well, not being submissive means that, you know, F a man, and that's not what it means to be a leader, you know. And women need to get back to that. And again, I think because they are followers, that's why they need to take a back row, because they'll follow almost anything, even like society deems what's important, and then women will follow along. And not saying men don't either, but we're talking about women right now. So I'm speaking on behalf of the women that I've seen and I've known throughout my lifetime. It seems like they do follow whatever is the thing. And I feel like the thing is that women are powerful. They don't need a man, so I don't have to be submissive. But in the 90s, all women I dated were submissive. That's all they knew. That's all they knew. They were raised by their grandmothers. That's all they knew, is to be submissive. And if you weren't a submissive woman, you and I probably didn't click, or maybe we did for a little while. I don't even remember you, to be honest with you. You know what I mean? That's how important it was. If you weren't submissive or you were a loudmouth, you probably weren't on my radar. We probably have maybe one or two conversations, and it was a wrap for you. Yeah. And it's not because I need you to be so I mean, that's just my opinion. I feel like society has geared women to be, you know what, I don't have to be submissive. I can be an alpha. Yeah, right. Woman can't stop. No woman should be an alpha. No,
Right.
I don't care what you make. I don't care. You shouldn't be alpha.
I agree. And what I was going to add is, I think Cam had mentioned in this podcast just the role media does play in behavior. And one thing that, like, I've been doing research on is that, you know, the people that are ready to make families, but they're not ready to, quote unquote, like, be in a family. So you have these, you know, the frustration that sometimes I get with dating, and especially a certain demographic that I won't identify, but there's a certain demographic of people that'll date, have sex, make babies. So she's submissive enough that you can, you know, that she can be sexualized. You can have unprotected sex, get her pregnant, but she's not submissive enough to be your wife. And that's where sometimes I see like a contrast in dating. So like you're procreating, and then you have all of these additional obstacles that kind of, to me, support what Little Kim said. So not only is Little Kim and these rappers raising a child, but a disconnected family unit is raising a child, because this man, and here again is where I put a little pressure on guys as leaders, is to, you know, Sheila is loudmouth. You know, Sheila is all of these things, yet you give Sheila this seed to foster a home for and build up.
Listen, Ruby, you got to understand, Ruby, that the human being is thousands of years, millions of years old. We don't know how old human beings are, right? But one of the human beings' focal points is to procreate, right? So we live in this society that's not generally a natural construct. The society we live in is basically the Roman Catholic, Judeo-Christian society. That's the society that we live in right now, right? So the Roman Catholic society and the Judeo-Christian, all that shit is basically man, woman. No society except that society took it upon themselves to be one man, one woman. If you look at any society, you look at the Native Americans, you look at our history in Africa, you look at the Asians, you look at the Arabs today. These are all polygamous societies. Human beings have been being polygamous and spreading their seed amongst the. It says it in the Bible. If you believe in the Bible, it says
did they get married in some of these cultures? Was marriage relevant?
Yeah, of course. Of course, you have more than one wife. If you have more than one wife in the United States, you could be arrested. You're saying it's called bigamy. It's a crime in the United States to have more than one wife. And in certain parts of the Middle East, certain parts of Africa, it's still happening. Like, so sometimes you have to sit back and look at the whole picture. Like, human beings are millions of years old, and it's in our DNA to want to procreate. It's in our DNA to want to be with women. And then you put us in this system, this system in the United States that nobody is succeeding in as far as monogamy. Because let's be honest. I mean, even if you say monogamy means one man, one woman, every man and every woman, I'm not going to say every man and every woman, but most men and most women have been with other people. So you're not monogamous. You can be monogamous in your marriage, but before your marriage, there were other people there. And we try to act like that didn't happen, or that doesn't happen. For people that believe in this system, like, oh, well, why does he want to have a baby with this one and have a baby with that one and have a baby with this one? It's because it's part of your DNA. It's part of your structure as a human being on this planet. You being bountiful and you multiplying. Like, so you have to look at these things, and then you have to look at the fact that we're in a system. We are in a system that's not natural. Like, it's just not natural for a man to have a wife, like, my wife, I love you, and then look at another woman and be like, oh, I don't want to look at her. She's beautiful. I can't want that woman. Is that natural? It's the same thing for women. A woman could be married to a man that does everything for her, and she sees another man, and she's attracted to that man. That's not unnatural. That's human nature.
I agree. And that wasn't the point I was making. And I have another question that I'm going to jump to. But I think everything you said was valid. And the point that I was making was not that we don't need to procreate, because I'm supporting that. But I'm just saying that, as humans, we also have a higher order of thinking than other species. So we're not dogs. We're not, we're not that species. So with that, there's some behavioral components that could be put in place, because not every person has 4 or 5 kids with 3 different women. That's not the path they chose, and they're still satisfying that need. So you have men, like older generations, that, found other ways to satisfy that need to procreate without actually procreating and still having that family unit. But one other thing that was a popular question on the list that I got for the ladies, what they wanted to know, is they want to know about, like, sex on the first date. So I'm going to kind of change it up so we can get a little flirty, fun, and you could just give some perspective. So it's like the old dilemma of sex on the first date, or it does, make it wait. So does this have an impact, fellas, on your decision to become serious with somebody? So we kind of identified the submissive component. What do you all think about the sex component, and being honest on how y'all feel about that?
Well, if I may begin, I think if a woman gives me sex on the first date, she is more likely, she has a greater chance of becoming my girlfriend than somebody that's just making me wait. Now, when I say make me wait, I mean things are getting hot and heavy, and she's like, no, I'm not ready. All right, then why we here? Like, why I'm kissing on you then? We shouldn't even have got here then, because we not 16 on our mother's sofa. So don't get me all riled up and then you pull the brakes on, because then I lose respect, and I ain't really trying to mess with you after that, because you still thinking like a kid. If this the first date, the date's going good, and it winds up with us kissing and hugging and touching and feeling, and then, all right, fuck it, we going next tomorrow, because we grown up. And we'll figure out the mess afterwards. Well, it ain't going to be a mess. Well, it might be a mess on her. But, you know what I'm saying? It's not going.
Anybody else on sex on the first night?
I mean, when, you're growing up as little boys, and to boys, to young men, to men, society already, has all, for many, many years, has been not as forgiving to women. And as a man, I know it's always been a uneven, scale when it comes to sex. Men, we are graduated when we start having sex young, and women are, kind of labeled. So in my 20s, as far as me thinking long term with a woman, sex on the first date probably never. I never thought past. I never thought it'd be a long term situation. But as you get older, and that's when you immature, and you concerned with things that really don't have nothing to do with a relationship, like trust, respect, things like that. So you're concerned with, like, how many people she slept with and all that. Like, when you caught up in all that, sex on the first date is like a turn off. It's for a person that you might think could be a girlfriend, potential fiance, or whatever the case may be. But I mean, as you get older and wiser and you mature, it's not that big of a deal. And I know, again, women always had that dilemma because of the stigma that comes along with them, as far as being promiscuous, or again just being labeled. Just bluntly, that's pretty much what it boils down to. Women easily get labeled for things, and yeah, society hasn't been fair to women in that regard. But I think we all men of a certain age now, and I can probably speak for everyone and say that's not no real big deal now. It ain't about nothing, and it shouldn't be for a real man. And that's how I want to say that to all the women. It shouldn't be. Be honest with you, if they're looking for something tangible,
Mm-hmm. Like if you like somebody like that.
Let me just chime in real quick, so I can get my. Now I'm thinking back to when I was dating. It never really mattered to me. I don't care. I did, however, feel like you were playing games if you made me wait too long. You know, in my opinion, I felt like, you know, you want it like I want it. And don't act like you don't. You know, so if it happened on the first date, it didn't mean anything to me. It's supposed to happen. It was organic for me to happen. I didn't put no full court press on you. It was, the move was right. And I'm talking about 16, 17, 18, when I'm young. And I never looked at her no type of way based on the physical, because it wasn't about physical. Because when I'm 16, 17, I want to hit everything. And I feel like it was my right to hit everything. So if I'm hitting this, I'm supposed to be. So, you know, it was not like I felt like it was a privilege. No, that's just something that happened. So for me, if it happened on the first date, it's supposed to happen. Now, what happens after that, after we have sex, that is the tell to take for me. Like, how is she acting now? What's her reaction to this? Is she going to be weird now? Is she going to be super clingy now? Does she want to go down to the justice of the peace now? Or are we going to continue along this road, this natural course that we've been doing so long? And now we've just incorporated sex. Because that lets me know where her head is at. You know what I mean? It lets me know her maturity level. So for me, it was like, all right, she's going to act goofy now, then I don't want to deal with her because she's getting goofy. But if we can continue to have fun and have a good time, then we'll have a good time. And I won't say, you know, man, she gave it to me on the first day. She's a whore. No, she ain't. I'm handsome. He's supposed to give it to me. You know what I mean? I put a good movie on. I want it again. It's supposed to happen.
Right.
It's organic to me. So if it happens on the first day or the 30th day, it don't matter to me. It's going to happen. Now, it's all about how she responds to that. I'm sorry?
Who was that speaking?
I'm sorry, that was Simeon.
All right, so the next question kind of leads into something you just said. So how soon do you all begin contemplating a serious relationship with someone you're dating? Meaning, how soon do men recognize if she's the one? So I know, you know, we have married members on the podcast, so if you all can just kind of, I know it's a wide range, so if we could just kind of like say, on average, after this time, if he's not doing this, you might want to start, you know, looking. So how soon do you begin contemplating a serious relationship? So she then gave it to you on the first night. She's still cool if she didn't get goofy. Philly slang is so funny. Like, goofy. So, like, now where we at with it?
All right, well, for me, it all depends on, I like to let things happen organically. So I'm not really putting a time frame on it. If we continue to kick it and organically I just notice I'm spending more and more time with her, then we might have a conversation like, yeah, you my girl. Yeah. But I can't really put a pinpoint a time frame because, you know, when I was younger, it probably happened way faster. Now I'm really slow rolling it. So it'll be, matter of fact, now I don't even want no girlfriend. So it's either we just friends with benefits or we getting married. So it ain't that in between boyfriend, girlfriend thing I'm not even doing. So in other words, I'm not even committing until it's time to commit. And I wouldn't expect you to commit until I feel like, yeah, I want to marry this chick. Because that whole boyfriend girlfriend thing to me is like it's not my twist anymore. So right. I'm all marriage or nothing.
More feedback.
Yeah. So I'm gonna piggyback off something Sim said. Yeah, I think Miss Ruby, it's like it depends on how women respond to after you having like you being intimate with them regularly. You know, I know that was a big deal for me. I guess I had to think back a while. I guess when I felt like, you know, this wasn't just a phase. This wasn't just like, you know, I wasn't just I wasn't a rebound person, you know. Again, it really depends on women. I mean, because I'm going to be who I'm going to be. Like I told you, Ruby, I'm a man. I'm always going to be a man. The way I carry myself, the way I am. So if a person don't recognize it and we don't vibe, that's cool. it wouldn't stop me from doing nothing. So I guess when I start seeing things that made me, you know, feel a little more deeper about it, like, you know, just certain things, man, just would trigger another feeling for me. Like, oh, you know what? Maybe I need to be paying a little more attention because this is more serious than I might have thought it would be in the beginning. But ultimately, again, it's really about how the women respond. Because I always knew what I wanted. I mean, when I was single, I knew I wanted to be single. I knew I didn't want to be tied down. I knew I didn't want to be in a committed relationship. I knew I didn't want to be responsible for no one's feelings, no one's emotion. I had a nice run of doing that. So when I got to a point where I was like, all right, that's old. I graduated past that, and you know, I've always wanted to be married and, you know, have a family. Then that's when I kind of, you know, shedded some of the stuff that I knew wouldn't be good if you wanted to go to the next level with someone. So I say all that to say, I think you got to prepare your mind for being in a relationship. But again, it's always, for me, it was also how the woman responded, you know, because I guess with women, no disrespect, and it's not for all women. You know, you gotta never know. Like, you know, one day, one thing, and that's just what it. And again, I'm not knocking. I understand that's how women are wired. You know, and especially now that you guys are more successful, more empowered, more independent. You know, I know it's a little more challenging.
That's a perfect way of putting it. Like, you never really know. Like, you could
so.
You can have sex with a chick and be like, oh, that's cool. And then you can have sex with a chick and be like, damn, why did I do that? And then, like, the chick that was cool, you wouldn't have no intentions on her being your girl, and you wind up that shit girl. Like, so
I always put the onus on men. We just got to be the constants. That's it, period. And I've told you this. We got to be the constants, man. Like, we can't change. We just got to keep doing our man stuff. You know what I mean?
You know, most men don't change, though.
You know?
Most men don't change. We are who we are forever. Like, a lot of women like to use that excuse, like, he wasn't like that when I met him. Yeah, you was just on his dick. You wasn't looking at him right. But he was always like that. That's one thing about men, is like, we always, you know, constant. Women are the variables. So you never know with chicks. So that's why I like to let my thing just happen organically.
And Albert, with that kind of led to another question that was posted by some of the other ladies. So it talks about, like, monogamy. And so, like, if it's in that beginning stages of, you know, like, let's say it's after sex, she not being goofy, but you still haven't made her, you know, like, your girlfriend. It's not exclusive. Is it okay for her to have sex with other people? Is that like an unspoken rule, or how does that go from the sexual aspect of, if we're being monogamous but we're not exclusive? So Albert, even specific to, like, your description of, it's no girlfriend and boyfriend phase, it's like whatever you described it. So can she have sex with other men?
Yeah, I mean, look, we're gonna have a real, I guess, open relationship. Like, and even if I'm so like past the nonsense now, that I would know if my feelings are not strong enough for the both of us. So let's say I'm in love, I'm fucked up over her, but she not feeling that way about me. I'm still not gonna make that a hindrance for her. Like, love me or leave me alone. I'm gonna take what I can get and be happy with that. I narrow these things down I reduce it down to the lowest fraction, the lowest common denominator. So I initially approach a woman for sex. So if I'm getting sex, I'm happy. I don't care what happens after that. If she want to get married, she got to make me fall in love. She got to sweep me off my feet. Otherwise, I can just continue to have sex with her and be a friend. That's where I'm at now at 42. Because I definitely tried it the other way. It didn't work out for me, you know. So
I think a man would be a fool to think that in 2017 that a woman is that's not in a committed relationship, and it hasn't been said in this day of Instagram and Snapchat, everybody getting a text message and selfies, a woman, like, you would be a fool to think that a woman is only dealing with one guy if you haven't put on the table that you are going to be in a committed relationship.
Right.
Like, that's how I see it. Like, it's as simple as that. Like, no man in 2017, in this day of the iPhone and the Galaxy and all these apps on your phone,
Tinder,
dating apps, these Tinders, the Soul Swipes, the Plenty of Fishes. Like, if you think that a woman that you just had sex with is only looking at you and is dick around every swipe of the phone, you're a fool. You're a fool. In a DM, like, the man got a hit record. It goes down in the DM. Like, who really believes that? Like, it's a hit record. Like, it's going down in the DM. So,
yeah, I think
be a fool.
Yeah, and I think you bring up a good perspective for me to kind of add on to, is that it's one thing to know that it's out there and that's what's going on, and it's another thing to accept it. And I know, you know, from kind of the men that I've been around, like, period, dating, family-wise, they wouldn't accept that. If you their woman, if they dealing with you, they dealing with you. So it's the unspoken rule. So you can talk to Timmy or whoever, but the men that I know, typically, they better not find out, and that's how they carry it. So it has nothing to do. It's kind of like what Mr. X said as far as how he introduces things. And I think when most of the men that I know, they introduce it like that, you kind of already know what it's hitting for. So with that being said, it's like, you know, that stuff might be going on, but it's just, I don't know, it's just not discussed. So I think that, Albert, you have a great perspective. I say you probably one of the only men that I know that's kind of been that, like, I accept it. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's one thing to know that it's out there, but it's another thing to accept it. And I think my grandmother speaks to that all the time. When I try to get her up to speed about what's going on, she's like, she don't care what's going on. She's still who she is, and her acceptance of what's what is, you know, kind of still there. So if anybody wanted to elaborate a little bit more on, you know, like, any of the topics we talked about, we can, but it's like I got a whole lot of questions that people wanted me to ask, so I don't want to jump to nothing else.
Yeah, okay. Ask them. Get busy.
So the next question is basically like, so if you have children, so speaking to the ones that have children, I guess the ones that are married can speak to if they, however y'all want to respond. But basically, what is the lady's role as far as how she's supposed to interact with your children? Like, do you all feel like she has a responsibility, or just what are y'all expectations when it comes to, like, maybe a woman with no kids coming into a relationship and you have children? What are your expectations of her?
Okay, so you're saying, like, I have kids and she's my girlfriend?
Right. So the exact question is this: as a single father, how do you want support from the new lady in your life? What does that look like?
Okay. For me, well, my daughter's grown, so it don't really apply. But when it did, I was more so along the lines like this. If my daughter could either be all of your business or none of your business. So if you with me and you my lady, I would expect you to treat my daughter like she's your daughter, or you stay out of face. So she either all your business or none of your business. And that's how I would treat a woman's son or daughter if I was dating a woman with kids. Either your kid, all my business, or none of my business.
Yeah, this is Sim again. I guess I agree with Al, but for the most part, with respect to my child's mother, I really don't want you overstepping that boundary unless it's, like, natural. It got to be organic. Like, my child has to really take to you. You got to take to my child, and it almost has to be something that I can't control. It's out of my control. Like, damn, they really vibing. I can't do anything about it. You know what I mean? I still wouldn't want my lady friend or my girlfriend to overstep her bounds in regards to the parenting situation. But if you can't control it, that's cool. Some women come into the relationship, you know, with an agenda sometimes. Like, all right, well, let me see how I can fit in here. Let me see if I can disrupt this flow. Let me see how much he interacts with his baby's mother. You know, and they got a hidden agenda, and they may not even know it. You know, that's just how they raise. They may not know that that's their purpose. But you got to be careful on who you have around your kids. I mean, especially as a woman, like, I just feel like if you're not her mother, just stay out of it unless it's an organic relationship with both of you guys are like, you know what? I like him. I like her. I like when so-and-so comes over. We have fun. And, your kids start asking for that person. Because I was in that situation with my wife now. When I met her, I had a son. And it was organic. She's slow walking. She didn't jump out of it. But once her and him started vibing, it was like, it was organic. They had a really good relationship. And sometimes she was the bridge between me and him because I'm his father. So my expectations to him were through the roof, and she would come in and say, listen, well, maybe you could do this or let me do it. You know what I mean? So she would be supportive in that issue. And then, the issue with sometimes my son's mother and I didn't agree on things. She would try to be that support system there as well. So, but that's just my situation. Again, if that's not the situation, I feel like, just let them two stay their course and then you get your alone time with your man.
Right. All right. The next question says, what are signs that a man is truly interested? I mean, so I give an example. So I have obviously, I'm in the sorority. I mean, my sorority has all these members, and then I'm cool with girls in other sororities. So one of the things that I run into with single women that I'm either counseling or friends with, and even myself, I guess, baby, you meet a guy and, with the DM being here now on social media, it's just, dating is different. So I have some girls that get on edge if he don't text back immediately. There's people he keeps texting me. The problem I run into is 55 times in my DM. Okay, how many different ways can you say good morning, beautiful? How you doing, queen? Okay, I'm Grace, block you. So with that being said, what are some signs that a man is truly interested? Does he just send a message, or does he coordinate a date, or how does that look in today's society?
If he looking past your goofy
men
shit,
don't think like women.
Yeah.
So whatever y'all thinking about, we're not thinking like that. If we like you, we like you. I can't speak, like I said, I can't speak for the other guys on the panel. But if I like you, you're gonna see me. I think somebody said that. You're gonna see me. You're just gonna see me. I'm gonna be around. I'm not. Right. I don't know about giving context clues and all that. I sent you a good morning text. Because some guys is not texters. Some guys are texters. You know what I'm saying? So it's different. It's different ways. But you're gonna see him. I mean, women kind of act like they don't see certain things. If a guy just think of you yourself, Ruby. If it's a guy that likes you, that you may not like, he's offering his time to you, and you're brushing him off. He's cute, but So if it's organic, like one of the other brothers said, then it's just going to happen. I'm offering my time. Hey, you want to go get something to eat? You want to go to the movies? You want to go work out or something? Anything. It's just you're just going to be there. It's not really that hard to figure that out. It's kind of the same. You kind of got to flip the mirror on yourself and say, what do I do when I'm interested in a guy? Do I brush him off, or do I allow him into my space?
Yeah, I'm going to piggyback off Karen. I was thinking what you were saying. I was going to say exactly, there's no blueprint. So, Ruby, tell all the lovely women that's listening, we ain't got it ain't no blueprint to this one. Everybody's different, but the indicators, I can tell you what the indicators are. One is making time for you. And two is the last thing Cam just said. Making time. Definitely. If he makes time for you, that's an indicator. That's a big indicator that, okay. The second part is women, unfortunately, and I know this is not easy, you gotta open yourself up. You gotta let your guard down, or you're never really gonna know, But if the brother is making time,
I think a lot of them do let their guard down, That's why they get caught up, because it's like they let their guard down for the wrong niggas. Like, it's like, oh, well, you know, like, this dude had all the warning signs that he wasn't a good cat, but you still had his baby, you still went out with him, you still ran your credit card, or whatever women do when they in love with a cat and the guy's just using them or whatever. Like, I think women let their guard down a lot. Like, they just fail to see certain things because they digmatized, or they just in love with the cat. I'm saying they just feeling him that much.
Yeah, I've seen that happen. What I think, so from the females this came from and the females that I'm speaking about, I think that somebody made a point that men and women think very differently. My profession has given me like greater insight into these things, and I try to tell my girlfriends that, so I'm glad a male actually said it. So sometimes a 5-minute gap in between texts when he's been texting back and forth, it doesn't mean what you think it means. Just because he didn't respond to your text and he posted on Facebook or Instagram, it doesn't mean that he wasn't thinking about you. I mean, that's a lot of times with thinking errors. Females sometimes see a behavior and they automatically assume that it means A, but it could be B, C too. And so one thing that I try to tell people is that, like you said, you have to be mindful and you have to remove yourself from the situation if it doesn't work for you. I would say I don't feel like I've been taken advantage of since I was like 24, 25. That was like my last relationship in which I let somebody take advantage of me. Now I'm more mindful, but I know it's a certain approach that the guys that I like are going to approach me with. Like, they're not going to come and look and say, is the gym open? They're going to rattle the door to see if it's open, and they're going to come in there and it's going to be clear that this is what I'm trying to do. You know, and I think that the more passive approach kind of not only lets me see that I don't really want to open myself, but it lets me see, okay, he's probably not going to be somebody that I'm compatible with anyway. But I think y'all were right to say that it's not a blueprint. So ladies, you just have to kind of see if he's interested, if he makes time. I think that was like a consensus what everybody said as far as making time. Another question is, how do you prevent?
Ruby, I'm sorry, Ruby. I'm sorry. Can I just want to elaborate real quick on that. Like on the question, real quick. If you ask that question, he's probably not that into you. That's just bottom line. If you got to say, how will I know when he's into me? You don't know. That's just it. It ain't no, because he bought flowers, because he went to Ruth Chris, or we went to, Shea Maurice. No. Two, you just going to know. That's just it. And two, real quick, while you're waiting for that moment, just enjoy the ride. Stop trying to put a timetable on it, or or some sort of format where, now that we're 2 years in, this has to happen. 2.5 years in, this, no, stop. Don't do that. Just enjoy it. Make it organic. Stop being such a robot. Just let it happen. Have fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think that's a control thing for a lot of women, is that, they want it to flow on such a timeline, and it's this urgency, to find, to get to the finish line. And, I really haven't had that struggle, but I will say there's also too problems that come with enjoying it. I had one guy that I met recently, and he told me that he felt like I gave him too many options. He said, like I gave him the option to rent, buy. He said it was just too many options. And that was because I don't know what I want with you, right now. Like, we still got to get to know each other and recognize, like different signs and things like that. So it's not always ladies just, doing those kind of quote unquote stereotypical lady things. It was a lot of questions about, is your previous relationship over? But I think that's kind of a difficult question to really answer, because we already know what kind of climate we're in. I think Cam spoke to, like the multiple relationships that are going on, which is not new. It's not new. It's just that now the side chick has kind of made that position something she's proud about. Like, I've seen shirts on Instagram and social media. It's like, yeah, I'm sleeping with your husband and different things like that. And so, I think that's what's changed more so than men having multiple women. Is that now these women that were once okay with being in the bushes, now they want to be on stage just throwing shots at the wife. So I think that the previous relationship over, and that you still dating your other woman, is kind of like a little too broad for us to answer, especially with the amount of time we have left. So I guess in general, do you all have any suggestions for single women that are dating, that want to date to get to marriage? Like, I mean, I don't want y'all to be feeling like y'all Steve Harvey, but kind of I do. If you was talking to a female that was like your sister or a friend that you value, like, what would you tell her about dating and relationships?
Well, what I wanted to say real quick was going back to the previous question was, if a man is excited, like, yo, I just got this chick's phone number and I really like her and I really want to make something happen, and then he texting all crazy, you know what the woman's gonna call him? A stalker. So he gotta reel it in. He could be real excited, right? He could be really happy to his homies, you know, and to his confidants, like, yo, I met this joint today. Yo, this joint right here. Yo, a conversation is this and that, and her body, this and that. But he's real excited, but he can't show you that because you're going to call him a stalker. You going, you know what I mean? See, women are in their own way. You know what I mean? You just can't be flattered by something like that. So what I would say for my advice to women is just get out your own way and stop questioning everything. If you, the female, if you like Daryl, then you go get Daryl by any means necessary. You wrap him up in your feminine wiles and you make that your man. That's it. You make him fall in love. Because if you wait for the man to make you fall in love, you could be in love by yourself. So you make him fall in love, whatever it takes. Just like when we want some ass, we do whatever it takes. We get the ass. Same thing.
Okay. One thing I wanted to ask though, like, while we have these Mr. X and Sim on the line, we don't have time for this podcast, but I would like for them to join in some of the other topics that we've discussed, because I want to see if they feel the same way about Black women. As you know, I know that, I mean, y'all know how Al feels about Black women, correct? Because this is essentially the audience that we're going to be speaking to. Do you all share those same views, Mr. X and Sim? Do you all share his views about the state of Black women in general?
Sim, you want to go first?
No, I don't. This is Sim. I don't. Why are you laughing? I can't disagree. No, I don't. I feel like, personally, and I have these conversations with Al off the air. I think sometimes, see me, I'm an alpha. So for me, I don't feel like a woman can mess things. They don't have that much power to mess things up, in my opinion. Now, one thing me and Al did speak on is, I feel like anything a woman do is fair game, as long as she does not bring a child into the world. See, now, you can do anything. You can be a hors d'oeuvre. You can sleep with this one, that one. You could be a star, whatever you want to be. But once you bring a child into the relationship or a child into the world, your world has to stop now. Your life is over. You got to live for somebody else. So you can do whatever you want as long as you ain't got no kids. That's just my opinion. I don't care. I don't even care what you do, as long as you ain't got no kids. And that's something him and I do agree on. But in regards to women, I don't feel like women have that much power to mess anything up. I kind of put a lot of onus back on the males because I feel like the man should be in charge, in my opinion. You know, so I don't really. But Mr. X,
Sorry.
No, I'm done.
So you still talking? Oh, I'm pretty much piggybacking off what you said. And you heard me from my first answer tonight. I always put the pressure on men. We've always been leaders. We've always been, at the forefront of our household, of our people. Do I agree, to answer your question? Some things, a lot surface stuff that I do agree with Al. But fundamentally, no, and he knows that. Like, at the core, no. Like Sim said, I don't really think, I wouldn't give women, no disrespect to women, that much credit, in a lot of ways for why our relationships don't work out. But again, I do think, everybody plays a role in the bad part of, relationships, whether it be intimate relationships or just, friendship relationships or communicating and all that. So, but yeah, ultimately, no, we I don't agree with a lot of what he says.
I want to know
Something-
exactly what it is y'all think I think about black women, because hold on,
What'd you say, Up?
I want to know ultimately what y'all think I think about black women that you don't agree with, because the numbers, the stats speak for themselves. I mean,
I disagree with you too, Al. I mean, you. But the thing is, so whatever is the opposite of what you say. But this is because you put up a stat the other day who said all women aren't the same. Show me women with ABC. And I think that was Mr. X that just spoke, that said, like, on, I don't know which word he used, but it seemed like it might have been synonymous, but like on a superficial level. So, like, if a woman has a sew-in or she wears makeup, I mean, does that make, I mean, like, what does that say something? Is that a reflection of her character, or saying that she's the same as Kim Kardashian?
Definitely.
You know,
Definitely.
you know what it's like?
Character.
It's like this. If you go back in time to the 80s and 90s, if you were selling drugs, right? If a guy, let's look at it from a male, if the males in the 80s, most of the dudes who were selling drugs are doing the same thing. Most of the men who out there selling crack or in gangs or whatever they were doing in the 80s and 90s, they all had the same mentality. They all do the same thing. They under the same spell. They under the same mind control. When you fast forward to today, every woman with a weave and a tattoo and putting their face on and all that is under the same spell. And a brother like myself and my brother and every man on this panel, for instance, is going to have a difficult time taming that beast that is the black woman. You just ain't going to do it. So
they said that. They don't agree with that, Albert.
Ask them who they married. Ask them who they married to. So, you know, dudes are just talking. They don't agree, but fundamentally they agree with me.
In regard now, let's be clear. When he sees some things, I do agree with Albert, and that regard is regards to tattoos. First of all, I hate weaves. That's just me. It's no knock on no. I just don't like them. I just don't like
right,
them.
And that's a preference. But to
right.
say, but
I don't like because. But again, sometimes I'm personally not compatible with a woman that has a weave. I'm not compatible.
Mm-hmm.
The tattoos is more natural now. The weave thing, yeah, I'm not really into it. I don't care. Listen, if you bald head, you bald head. I don't like the fit, because now it's just all right. I'm trying to. I don't know. It just feels like it's some insecurity issues there with the weave.
About her character, right?
Yes, it does.
This is what I'm saying.
Right. It says something about your character.
Wait a minute. He just went and he. I want the person that's speaking to kind of support his claim, because we already know what Albert feels. I'm just trying to get some additional perspective, regardless of who they married. So I'm assuming that they've married women that weren't African American, and that's okay. I mean, I don't think I know I don't have a problem with that. But what I'm trying to highlight is that one just doesn't, 1 + 1 isn't the only thing that, equals 2. 0 + 2 = 2. So what I'm trying to get to is he doesn't like weed. And when he spoke about it, he spoke of it as more of a preference. That's not what he's into, because he believes ABC about it. But he's not going and saying that just because a woman has a weave, that this is what she automatically is. And I feel like, Albert, that's what you do. So even though those things are similar, they're still very different. And see, me as a woman, I wouldn't be offended by somebody that's saying I'm not their cup of tea because I have a sew-in. But Albert, you make it seem like because I have a sew-in, I'm under a spell. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I think that when you word it like that, it's contextual, and that's very important.
Does that offend
So,
you?
When you do go that far to quote unquote beautify yourself, and I put beautify in quotes, you, especially for a more cerebral thinker, like I would say most of the brothers on this panel, is you have to break down so many more walls with this woman, especially if you thinking on a higher level than you would with a woman that was, let's say, in love with her natural beauty. Like when she saw what she saw that God gave her, she was in love with that image. And it's like when I start dealing with a woman, I don't even approach women with weaves. I don't even look in any direction. I hate to say it like this, but they kind of like white women to me. I don't look at white women either. I generally don't look at women with weaves. because I know that I'm going to have to do so much more to get on a level where we can positively cohabitate. Like, she doesn't believe in the things that I believe in. She thinks that somebody else's hair is more beautiful than herself. So it's so many more walls I have to jump over with a woman who has already, a woman has already accepted herself and accepted her beauty and accepted everything about her as a gift.
And I just have another question. So will you, because this is where
hey, yo, this is going to have to be the last question too, because
it gets discourseful. Is that it's okay for everybody to have their preference when it comes to that, but if a woman says she only want a dude that makes like $125,000 because this man appreciates hard work and a dollar, and when she looks at his money as defining him, it's a very different perspective from you all. It seems to be a lack of consistency now, and it could be my interpretation.
No, not at all.
Let me
because
finish.
the average black man doesn't make that much money.
Okay,
no, I'm going by what you're saying.
So
the average black man doesn't make $125,000 a year. So it's
hold up.
The average black woman.
Hold on. Let me just say this real
what
quick.
I'm saying, all I was just saying is that if we can say that the reason you don't want to date a woman that wears hair, now what you're saying is she wears hair. Now I have hair, and I got pictures on Facebook with a fro, with a sew-in, with a compression curl, because I do have hair. But that's just one of the many things that I wear. If you're saying that a woman that wears that, you X her out because of all of these things. What I'm saying is that you should be okay when a woman says, look, I make $125,000. I'm Xing you out because you only make 50. Because if you only make 50, you don't see the world that I do.
Yeah, that's cool.
That's so cool. You don't belittle her. You don't belittle her.
I think it's dumb. I think it's dumb because a nigga can make $125,000 right now and be broke next year.
And a woman can have a sew-in today, and I can have an afro tomorrow.
Because the actual weave. No, hold on. Listen. So you can understand. The weave is not. It's not the weave itself. A weave is an indicator on how you think. Your mind is warped. If you're putting somebody else's hair in your head, your mind is warped.
That's not true.
I think we're getting off track, everybody.
It's just about the career you chose. It's just about the career you chose.
All right, you can say that.
The career makes you happy.
Yeah, you can just be happy.
And so can the sewing. All I'm saying, guys, let's generalize it. Let's come up with a general principle.
But that's not why you're saying you don't want to date a man because he. All right, look.
What you do for a living might be a labor of love, Ruby. Like you might see a person who's a school teacher that loves kids, loves teaching. That job does not offer you that much money, but it makes his soul happy to go to work and to deal with children, and he has fun at work.
And the sewing could be easy.
And let's be real. It's more than one way to make a living out here. It's more than one way to bring in money. Just because he might be a janitor, but he got property.
See how y'all defend it, but y'all won't defend it on others. Let me ask Simeon and Mr. X, because they're new to this conversation. Do you all understand the point that I'm making, or does it sound like it's complete ludicrous? Because if we go back to logic and philosophy and inductive and deductive reasoning, what I'm trying to say is that we come up with general principles because we could spend hours and hours being very specific. What I'm saying is if we're looking at behavior and we look at behavior of the job that you chose, it comes with a certain salary. People choose positions all the time because of salary. You know what I'm saying? Some people choose it because of different reasons. Women choose hairstyles because of different reasons as well. So what I'm saying
look at artists. Like, what about an artist?
But Mr. X and Simeon, can y'all give us some perspective? Because we almost getting at the 1 hour and a half thing. If you all can just add a little bit more to this topic and say, well, no, Ruby, I don't understand where you're coming from, because we can, preference with hair is okay and acceptable, but a preference for salary is not okay because I'm isolating where you can have a preference at. Just kind of elaborate on that for me. Y'all understand what we're talking about. Any point you want to make relative to what we're discussing now?
Okay. X, you want to go first? All right, I'll go. So what I'll say is, now you can't. Now just to be clear, A salary is a number. Again, I agree with Alvin in the sense you could be rich today and broke tomorrow. Another thing I can say is, and this is the advice I'll give my daughter, what a man brings to the table should be extra for you. You shouldn't support, and that's just what I tell I do. That should be extra for you. You should be able to stand on your own. Whatever he brings to the table should be extra, and that should make you guys a stronger unit. Now, you shouldn't be counting his money. You shouldn't be counting his pocket, because guess what? What if he loses it tomorrow? What if it's a recession? What if that job is not in the market? It's not in the market anymore. That doesn't. He might have chose the right job career, but guess what? Society said, no, we don't need pediatricians anymore, or whatever. Then he's stuck. Does that make him less of a man? No, that's a decision based on monetary funds. Now, this is what I'm going to say for the women. If you're okay with money being one of the driving forces of how you choose a mate, and you end up and you look around and you 50, 60 years old and you still don't have a mate, you can't complain. That's all I'm saying. Now, for a man, I can say, you know what? Nah, she got a weave. I don't like her. I'm going to go get so-and-so over there with the two Afro puffs. Regardless, I'm going to be seen. Regardless, I'm going to get what I'm looking for. You know what I'm saying? A man is going to get what he's looking for. If you got these certain standards, you can't be upset when it doesn't go your way. Now, if you're okay with it,
maybe for
you're not
black
complaining.
But why are you letting it be? Why are you letting it be? Why are you being biased in this situation? I mean, or can you admit that you are being biased? Because you just said if a woman is looking for a certain salary. Now, let's open this up to all the men in the world, because it's a lot of money. It's a lot of money to get. Maybe black men on average ain't making $125,000, but the circle and the people that I'm with in my professional life, they eat. That's what's going on. So it seems like you're a little biased, and you're
I'm not biased, Ruby. I feel like, can I just say this real quick? I'm sorry. I feel like when you choose to do something to your body or present yourself to the world, I think that's a character choice. What you make as far as a salary, that's not a character choice. That doesn't define your character. I know a whole lot of rich assholes. I know a whole lot of rich assholes. Exactly. I know a whole lot of women that have weaves and that are kind-hearted. It doesn't define the person, but I know most men will see that as, oh, that's a character choice. And like Cam said, no, I'm going to deter from that, because now that's going to be too much work for me. I don't feel like working. I don't feel like tearing down barriers. I don't feel like doing all that. I already know what this person's going to bring to the table with the weave. You don't know what a person's going to bring to the table with that money.
Well, I do. I feel like I know that, and I feel like that's why we differ. And see, the reason that I get like a little distant on these podcasts is because I feel like that anybody that doesn't see it the way you see it, you're biased and you minimize it. It's not like you can have your point and I can have my point.
Not at all, Ruby. Not at all.
Let me finish. Let me give you a specific example. You just said, well, if you want a man with this amount of money and you don't get this by this age, it's a preference. What we're describing right now are preferences. A preference for a man is making $100,000. So if I don't get that, then fine. Whereas with you saying you're gonna find your Afro puff female or your one with braids, and then you're gonna get her and you're gonna be fine. Where weave is a big thing that people are wearing nowadays. All I'm saying is just as quickly as a person can lose that $100,000 job, I can lose this sewing right now and be natural, and I'm still the same person.
You can't lose that mentality, though.
I could feel like a person doesn't value experiences if they only making $30,000 to $40,000. You don't value expensive things because you can't afford it.
You gotta look at Ruby. You gotta look at it like
if I adopt your philosophy, that's what I'm saying.
First of all, Ruby, if you want a person that makes $125,000, that's cool. That's what you want to do. That's your life. Like, nobody's judging you because of that. You're just going to have to deal with the reality of that situation if it doesn't happen, because most of the people in our race don't make that much money. Like, that's just a fact. And as far as I forgot my point that fast, but it's nobody's being like judging Ruby because she went. Oh, what I was going to say was, but nobody's judging you because you want $125,000. But
I'm speaking in perspective.
What bothers me is that you think that a person that's making $60,000 can't be one of the happiest persons to make you one of the happiest people in the world.
I don't think that.
Wanna,
I don't think that. That's a lie. That is a lie.
Well, listen, but you're making a very strong case for the fact that somebody has to have this certain amount of money to be on a certain level. When
only
just like one of the brothers said, hold on, sis. Just like one of the brothers said, it's most people that make that type of money are assholes. There are plenty of rich assholes. When a man, and this is a life lesson that a lot of our sisters need to hear, right? If a dude is bringing in hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, right? He has a nice car. He has a nice home. He's going to have a lot of nice women. You understand that? Like, he has a lot of options as far as females go. So he can say, I want Ruby on Monday. I want Judy on Tuesday. And you know what? You're going to deal with it because that's what you like. And he has what you have, what you want. He has what you want. Like what? I'm sorry.
I think you're weird being stereotypical now, and I'm not saying that, I just feel like preference is being minimized. Because I have a preference for a salad, you naming all of the reasons against it. When I just told you that it's not being minimized.
Ruby, you just hearing what you want to hear
about the preference for a person is natural. I haven't said, well, you will get a female and she might do this and that, and she's got a natural hairstyle. I've accepted that. I feel like you all have minimized every case. It's always like, well, most people that make this money are assholes. Okay, but they don't have to be. Like, there are some people that don't fit that description, just like it's some natural sisters that'll steal everything from you. Like, what I'm saying is that we can't just define a person off one behavior. You all are isolating and saying, if she wear a weave, I won't date her.
If you really listen to what I say, if you listen to what I say, Ruby, I never pinpoint just the hair weave. I'm building a case that the black woman is under a spell. You're all doing the same shit. That's it. Now, how that affects us in a relationship?
Can give us a perspective, and then we can.
Hold on. It's just I want to clarify my thought, because y'all pointing the finger at me like I'm the bad guy, like I'm saying something wrong. I'm not saying nothing wrong. I look at the black woman ain't getting married. The black man is finding it hard to marry his own woman. And then I look at, I'm building a case like, okay, why? Part of it is her attitude. That attitude, how does that attitude come about? It's this hair weave. It's tattoos, these breast augmentations, all this shit she think is making her better. And it's not. It's destroying her soul. She walking around like a soulless zombie. And that's why a brother like me that's full of love, he can't express it to a woman because she don't know how to receive it. She all fucked up. Her antennas, bro.
Everybody on this podcast can have what they want. There's a man out there for me that sees it the way I do, because if it wasn't, I would be a virgin.
No doubt. No doubt.
One of the reasons I'm not married is because I'm not in that phase yet. At 32, I feel like marriage is forever, and there's still a couple selfish things that I'm out here living. So I feel like that we all can have what we want. I do want to add that I don't believe that your perspective is so left field that anybody will be alone. I don't feel like that, because I feel like at the end of the day, it's somebody out here for everybody. I may not be the person for you, you may not be the person for me, but there's definitely a female that sees things the way you see it. I mean, we have two guys that have been able to identify women, whatever race they are, to find happiness in. And so that's a great thing. And I think we all can have it without minimizing everybody's perspective and trying to be so persuasive.
Do you feel like I'm minimizing your perspective? I don't think I do that.
Sometimes don't just say our point. We say our points to be persuasive.
I don't think I minimize
Ruby,
your perspective.
Nobody's minimizing your perspective, Ruby. If you want to marry somebody because of salary, that's your prerogative.
Yeah, go for what you know.
You should be happy.
My thing is, as long as Ruby Red and Ashley Poole.
I'm going to tell my daughter, just find somebody that makes you happy, regardless of salary, regardless of, as long as they treat you nice, then everything. Because the salary, I feel like I want to put my daughter in a position where she's going to be rich. Like, she might be the breadwinner. Like, for real, that's the position she's on course. So what I'm saying is, the money ain't going to be an issue. It's not going to matter how much money he brings to the table, because whatever she want to do, she's going to be able to do for 2 and 3 people. And if she want to
Can I
have
ask you,
kids,
can your son be happy with somebody with weave? If your son had dated somebody with weave, if you had a son and he dated somebody with weave, would you tell him she's not going to be able to make you happy?
no, but I would let him. I would want him to understand that the natural, it's nothing like the natural beauty. You know what I'm saying? And another thing, I'm gonna just be honest. I don't like weave because I'm pulling that hair, and I ain't paying for them tracks. I ain't paying for that. That don't come out. That's on you. You made that choice. That hair getting pulled tonight. So you be ready for that. Now, if you gonna pay that tab, pay the tab. It's $1, whatever it costs. It's on you. I ain't paying for it.
All right,
So
it's time to wrap this thing up. So, I want to thank my my wonderful panel, my brothers, my soul brothers, for coming on the podcast. And it's always a pleasure to have Ruby, even though she's always wrong. It's like, no.
I mean, because y'all my brothers. I mean, if I wanted one of y'all
Hey, Ruth,
my husband, I might
Ash, it's always a pleasure having you.
So I can take it.
It's always a pleasure having you. You know what I mean? You good peoples. And I want y'all to come back next week, and we're going to have another wonderful topic. All right.
All right.
Good
Y'all
night,
have a good
everyone.
one.
All right.
All right, guys.
All right, everybody have a good night.
Peace.
All right.